Alright, so it's been about 3 years now since Racy shut down. I think it shut down sort of towards the end of spring in 2017, I think it was. So yeah, coming up to 3 years now. And I've been sort of reading some of the things that I bought from there years ago finally, and listening to some of the music again that I bought from there, and been thinking about it, and so I thought I'd do a little video, little chat about around Racy, about some of the stuff that I got, some memories that I've got of there. And yeah, because I started shopping there in 2005, 2006. I think I was about 14. Yeah, I remember you go in and you'd be hit with the smell of incense burning in that weird dish that they had behind the till, and then just hearing the weirdest sounds you'd ever possibly hear in a shop. That was always something I really enjoyed doing. Was you'd go into the CD section and you'd pick out something that, you know, I was probably going to buy it, but you'd also be kind of like, go on then, let's try and get him to put it on his stereo system. And he would, and he'd just put on the most surreal, aggressive, abrasive music that you could find, and he'd just have it on in the shop, just carry on, burning his incense, writing stuff down, sorting out his CDs, just expecting customers to get on with shopping while merzbow's blasting out of the speakers or something. It was always entertaining. But I learned a lot about music from there, and books. Mainly, I was mainly there for the CDs, I'd say. But as I've gotten older, I wish I'd bought a lot more books from there. To be fair, I wish I'd bought a lot more from there. I was only a kid when I was going there, you see, so I wasn't exactly like loaded or anything, you know. I only had what little pocket money I got, so, and like, I don't know, like I'd go down with a £20 note and probably come back with one CD and a book or something like that. So I thought it might be quite interesting, because I managed to pile up some of the stuff that I bought from there over the years, some of the stuff that's of note anyway, and just thought I'd take a little look at it, show it to you, see, you know, you never know. Might bring back some memories for you as well. So I think I'll start with the books. Start with the books. So let's see what we've got here then. Looks like we're starting off with a few sort of classic bits of literature, I guess. I always used to try and find just some of the more well-known, the more classic-y sort of books there. It was good for sort of introducing me to people like Burroughs and Camus, and I'm sure I got a bunch more from there. These are just a few that I picked out just to start off with, because they're always cheaper, they're always decent, like 50p. If you remember, I used to write the price in the top corner in pencil. And we also used to get some of the weirder stuff from there as well. I got these two towards the end when I think he was selling everything for like, I think it was like 20p per book, or like 10 things for £1 or something stupid like that. And I picked up this really strange book about hanging. It's like an essay on why they should stop people being hanged. Just a short little interesting thing from quite a while back, but not as far back as you'd think. I think it was written in like the 50s or something stupid like that. I also got this big book on puppets, just because this is Rare and Racy through and through. They used to have like pictures and stuff just sort of on the wall that looked like some of these. Also, I'm a big fan of puppets, so I thought it might be interesting. One day I might make something out of this book and make a film with a puppet in it. Who knows? Another one of my favourites that I got from there, a Harmony Korine book. Again, I think I got a few other books written by directors or some sort of like cult celebrity person or something like that. This one's great. It's just weird cut out bits of stories or ideas, or just very strange, almost poetic sort of bits and bobs. But I think I bought this online and it was delayed, and I ended up picking up a copy from Racy because he just happened to have one in, and then my other one came, so I had 2 copies for a little while of that. Ooh, next up, he used to have loads of zines, I think it's pronounced. I've always pronounced it zines for some reason, but I think it's zines because it makes sense with magazine. But Flem, who still does graffiti and stuff, he did a bunch of graffiti at Rowan Race as well when they were closing down. Actually, we've got a little framed picture of it. He did little skull and crossbones above the shop. Not sure if it's still there or not. But yeah, he used to sell his zines there, and this one actually was featured in a documentary about Sheffield and Flem, which I was in and did some animation for. Probably able to see it there, show you stuff, but this zine was also featured in it because the director Jordan came round, and I was like, oh, I've got this, and was filming that. That was quite fun. And yeah, some big old art books, because if you remember, you'd go upstairs and they'd have a big art section right in the middle, and it helps me get into sort of surrealist art and such, you know, Dadaism, however you pronounce that one. But yeah, big Salvador Dali book. I remember, I think I bought these when I must have been about 16 or something, and you know, it sort of helps shape the sort of things that you end up making later on down the line, that sort of thing, doesn't it? And finally, this really weird thing that I bought is just a big old James Dean book. Again, this is another one where it was closing down and stuff was just dirt cheap, and I think at the time I hadn't actually watched any James Dean films. I've seen all 3 of them now. In my opinion, they progressively get worse. I really like East of Eden, but Giant is boring. Really boring, but you know, little book of James Dean, why not? Next I'm going to take a look at CDs, I think. Alright then, CDs. Now, I think the thing that I bought the most over the years from Rare and Racy was definitely CDs. One of the first things I bought actually from there was these actually. It was back then I was little known fact. Old Man Chimes started out as my name to make noise music, and I was big into sort of electronic noise and just terrible sounds. Just the louder you could get, the better, in my opinion. And went to Rowan Racy with very little money, and at the front, at the counter, there was like a little slim CD box, and we just picked out a few random CDs. This is a Roman Torment and Black Sand Desert. I think I got those. Roman Torment, Black Sand Desert, and they were only £1 each. Again, we got them to pop them on the stereo so we could listen to the absolutely disgusting sounds. They're just little promos, little interesting things, but again, it was new bands, it was strange, experimental, like noisy music, and again, went back the next time, and for £1 again, there's one of these, which is released on Pure, which they've put out a bunch of stuff by famous artists. So later found out there's like a Merzbow release and Masonna and people like that. But this one's by Smell and Quim, and the music sounds a bit like someone taking a shit on a microphone, but hilarious and just really strange, bizarre stuff. Like, you wouldn't find this sort of stuff at HMV, and that was it. My mind was just exploded by that, and I was just like, I can't wait to go here and just buy music and just try stuff. And that was kind of the draw of it, really. And then, through the years, I've always been a big Throbbing Gristle fan, and it was like the only place really you could ever find Throbbing Gristle. You can find it in HMV now. They've re-released all this stuff on vinyl, but I remember buying the second knot when it came out finally. This was delayed for years and years and years, but yeah, I remember buying that one when it came out, and also this Genesis Peorage one in a big strange bag, which has got like, it's got stars in the bottom of the bag. I don't know if you can see them there, just like little stars in the bag, but it's a really good album, that. And then another one from Genesis, which this is not one I've really particularly listened to. I think it's just him dicking about really with his little culty thing, which I've forgotten what it's called now. But yeah, it was generally a thing where I'd walk in and go up to Alan and be like, "How you doing? How's business? Have you got any Throbbing Gristle?" And rarely he did, but every now and then, and I'd buy something from there, and all was good. And then this is sort of like mid-level, sort of, you know, I've been going for a few years, started buying a bit more, and start with the merzbow stuff, because I've been getting back into merzbow recently. I remember buying this one, which is considered one of his worst albums, but I think it was only a couple quid, so picked up that. It was the first merzbow I ever owned. And then this one, which is made out of eucalyptus wood, I believe. The CD comes in this hand-carved case. The case was made in India, apparently. Just a little oddity. I think I was more interested in the case at the time, but nowadays it's the music that I really like in it. Again, it's electronic, powered noise, the extreme sort of stuff, which is a lot of fun. Oh yeah, I also got this Frog, which is a remix album from merzbow. Features a bunch of people like Ulva and Boris and Sun, which we're going to be talking about now, because I've always been a big fan of Sun since before going to Racy. Actually, I remember buying a Sun and Boris album called Alter, which is like a split album for them two, from HMV in Meadowhall, which I think he's gone now as well. I think, anyway, I don't know. It was going, and then it kept alive somehow, and I think it's gone now, finally. But yeah, that was my sort of start with that sort of music. But later on down the line, I managed to pick up Sun's first album from Racy, which is not one of the best. It's kind of bass level drone music. Picked up Boris's new album, which turns out to be one of my favourite Boris albums. It's for a band that's generally known as quite experimental, dark, strange, loud. This one is just full-on crazy J-pop, and it's a lot of fun, and it really puts you in a good mood. And I also got Heavy Rocks, which I think they've put out 2 albums called Heavy Rocks, one with the black case, one with the purple case. I got the later one with the purple case. And then later on again, still, this is sort of after uni, this is more towards, well, I was living outside of Sheffield for a while, so I'd come in, whenever I was in Sheffield, I'd pick up a few bits, you know, stocked up on some classics, you know, some Zappa, you know, some Tom Waits, bought the Swans massive box set thing. They're always releasing big daft things, Swans, because the tracks are about half hour long. And then there's these, which I picked these up when I lived in the shed. It's Acid Mother's Temple, which I think the guy was called Joe. He always used to recommend these to me. And these are interesting. They're only short, but the CDs are fascinating because most of it is see-through, and there's just this little bit in the middle. It's basically a mini disc disguised as a big CD, and it's just sort of, you know, psychedelic-y, hippie sort of music. But it comes in the 3 volumes, and they had 3 volumes. And when I first went there, I picked up volume 1, and I was like, I'm going to pick up these other 2 volumes later on, but I never got around to going back for a while. Then I went and everything was on sale, and I managed to pick up volume 2, but volume 3 was missing. So now I've just got volume 1 and volume 2 and nothing, and no volume 3. I'm gonna have to try and find a copy of it somewhere, but it's typical that, isn't it? Because they ended up shutting down. And this is one of my favourite things that I got from the Wobbly Strata. This is just strange, free jazz, experimental stuff. Really, really good. He was playing it on the stereo when I walked in. I was like, what's this? And he told me, and I was like, yeah, I'll buy that then, please. And finally, for the CDs, this is all the stuff that I picked up when they were closing down. This is all the stuff that I think it was like 50p for a CD. I just went straight to that experimental section like always, stood on that little step to look over at the top and flick through, and I just picked up anything that I could get my hands on really. And there's all sorts here. There's like weird electronic music, like this one, weird electronic music. What's this one? I don't even know what that one is. Probably some ambient-y sort of stuff. This one's a bit more sort of weird, drony, doomy sort of stuff. Don't know what that one is. Again, this one's a bit more drony, doomy. Don't know what that one is either, really. Again, I was just picking stuff up at random. What's interesting? There's a Costes album. There's a French noise and shitcore musician, I believe it's shitcore that he does, and it's just a disgusting, dirty junk noise album with him just shouting. I picked up this Alexander's A Witch is Born, which is audio from a like a witch's thing, like a witch's ritual thing, which is fascinating stuff. And then there's this one, Aesthetics of the Machine, which I bought from Alan, and he said, watch out, because this one apparently will blow your speakers away. And if you look on the back, there's a little warning there saying watch out, because it's going to blow your speakers away basically. It sounds like a computer malfunctioning basically. And I think there's one more that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, this one, Farmer's Market. I remember having a chat with Alan about this one because he said that he went to a farmer's market gig, and basically this CD's got like 50, 60 tracks on it or something, but they're all like about 4 seconds, and it starts off and there's not really any sound in each of these tracks, but as you get going towards the end, it's just insane sounds and just really loud and abrasive and aggressive. And he was saying that like seeing them live was a fascinating experience because people just didn't know what to expect. It's such a strange band, and that's just what I've got left. I'm sure there's stuff over on my collection that I've picked up over the years, but CDs were definitely the main thing that I was buying from Racy. A whole range of music from free jazz to classical to noise music to industrial music, all sorts of stuff throughout the board, just crazy stuff. I'm going to take a look at some vinyls next. Alright then, vinyls. So I didn't really have a record player for the longest time. I did have one when I was about 17, but it didn't work quite right. And it wasn't until I got one off my granddad. It was a big wooden, I think it's called a black box record player. And I think I must have been about 18, 19 when I got that. And at that point, I was absolutely skinned. I was too busy buying like booze at that point. I wasn't really buying records. So my record collecting from Racy wasn't as much as I'd have liked. Saying that though, the first thing I bought from Racy, this might seem a bit of a leap after some of the music we've just been talking about, was Beethoven's Ninth. Now, probably guess why. Big fan of A Clockwork Orange, and quite liked the music from it, and I thought it was affordable for me back then, and that was the main thing. I could actually afford the record, because it wasn't until a good few years later when I started picking up some stuff. I think we moved back to Sheffield in 2016, 2017, and I was like, right, I'm going to start buying records from Racy more frequently now, because we had a good setup, and then they shut down. So before the shutdown, I managed to get this one, which was I don't know who it is really, but it sounds nice. It sounds good. It's sort of dark ambient, drony sort of sounds. Got some jazz, some nice jazz. 1 O'Clock Jump, just some fun, light-hearted jazz. We got a few bits. I think we got some Russian jazz. which is crazy stuff. Interesting Russian jazz, and a bit of some blues. See those? Just a few bits of blues. And it's funny because I've only just started getting into blues music in the past like 3 years, 2 years. It's typical because they used to have a massive blues section, and they used to have a lot of like jazz as well. I've been getting into jazz a lot recently. Missed out on buying a lot of jazz music from there. I know they were big fans of Sun Ra. They used to have Sun Ra plastered all over the music room, and I've been collecting some Sun Ra over the past couple of years, and it's a shame really. I'd have loved to have bought it from there. So now we're going to get into, this is the pile of records that I bought for £1 each when they were closing down. Again, it was a case of I am not going to get a chance to buy this sort of craziness again, so let's grab what we can. And I got, this is some sort of Japanese, it just sounds kind of nice really, and what's interesting is it's released by Blackish Rainbow Records, and I don't know if any of you have ever shopped at Bear Tree, which is an amazing record shop in Sheffield, fantastic record shop. Well, when you buy something from there and get an electronic receipt, it's under Blackish Rainbow Records, so I'm not big on the history of it, I don't know. I'm guessing that they've got something to do with some of these releases, which is interesting. There's a couple of things I think here that's Blackish Rainbow Records. Yeah, this one is as well, it's Candy's Blind Chance. This is also Blackish Rainbow, so I don't know if the guy that runs Bear Tree also had a little record label on the side, but I've got a few there and they're pretty good. I quite like some of them, especially the Japanese one. It's a lot of fun. Got a few of these one-sided records where it's record on one side and like a printed pattern on the other. I think this next one's really good actually for that. Again, it's just sort of nice music, but I don't know if you can see the sort of pattern that's sort of etched in. It's really nice looking. Picked them up to see what they were about. Again, a lot of these I can't remember what they are actually because I don't listen to them that often. But I probably should actually, you know. Some of these are quite good. I remember this one being particularly good. I think this one comes with a little 45 as well in it. This one was nice, sort of like ambient-y stuff. This one was more aggressive sounding, which was good. As was this thing, this was a bit more metal sounding. Is this a Blackish Rainbow one? No, it's not. But I think the artist looks familiar for this one. It's sort of familiar. This one's really good, I quite like this one. Obake, is it? Obake? Which is like a do metal sort of band. Really good. I think there's some electronics though. But yeah, I really wish I'd had a chance to get a bit more. Especially now I'm more into jazz and blues, because that was the main section. But you go into the music room, I remember, and there'd be the little step that leads up for the CDs. So I remember flicking through just endless amounts of all sorts of crazy experimental music, local bands and bits and bobs like that. So that's kind of the stuff that I bought from round Racy over the years. Yeah, they sadly shut down in 2017. I think it was around this time, around May, June time. I remember they had a big party. Everything was being sold off cheap. There was a day where, because I just used to walk up in the morning just to see what I could grab, have a quick chat with Alan, see if there was anything that I'd missed from the previous day. And I got there, and I'd missed Jarvis Cocker by about 10 minutes. I saw on his Twitter that he'd posted a picture of him outside Rowan Racy with Alan, and I'd bloody missed him by about 10 minutes, which is a shame. Because Jarvis Cocker was a big fan of Rowan Racy. A lot of people were there. I've spoken to a lot of people who used to shop there, and yeah, it's a big shame. Yeah, they closed it down for I think they're supposed to be knocking down those buildings, but I mean they're still there. They're still sat there, those buildings, you know. It's 3 years that we could have been buying more stuff from Alan, but oh well. I think he was sort of thinking that enough's enough. Really, they've been messing him about for a long time, but that's not the important thing. The important thing, obviously, is remembering it and enjoying the stuff that I bought from there. And I'm going to be enjoying these CDs and books and records for hell of a long time. Stuff in Sheffield though now, you never know. Stuff might start popping up again. bit of a hole been left from Row and Racy leaving. Although Bear Tree is doing a damn good job at filling that hole, you know, there's some excellent records that they've got in there, you know. I could talk about my merzbow, you know, Nurse with Wound, and all sorts of stuff, Caretaker, you know, there's plenty of stuff in there. And there's also a really good bookshop down Kelham Island, which, if you don't know about it, definitely check it out. It's just opposite the old antique place, which I think has shut down as well, unfortunately. So these little crazy shops seem to be leaving us a lot in Sheffield, but you never know. After all this lockdown stuff's over, there might be a little boom in the more sort of strange, crazy, interesting shops, and I'm hoping so. But yeah, so that's just me chatting about Row and Racy for a little bit. I hope it was interesting, and yeah, cheers for having a look.